Rams reportedly called off a potential trade that had AJB heading to LA to sit right next to Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua and probably walk the Rams into a championship game, at least a conference championship game. But that got called off reportedly because, kind of like the Max Crosby situation, we had a team this time, I believe, legitimately concerned about A.J. Brown's knees. And they said, I don't know if we want to go through with this. And there's always some sort of off-season random, we find out about it 2-3 months later, knee cleanup that A.J. Brown has. It's always like A.J. Brown had knee surgery in March, and it's in June or July when we hear about it. And maybe that's what was found. We'll go over this report here. And Achane, according to Schefter, is not a player that the Dolphins are entertaining trading. However, we're in smoke season. We'll break that down and more. Two players that could potentially be on the move or not on the move. Joseph's dropping $20 super chat. The Fantasy Football Show begins right now. Graveyard style, baby. Do it live.
You're watching a
Graveyard Stream.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
So I'll get to your super chat, Joseph, right after I do my little spiel on AJB and Achane. I see you talking about Cooper. We like Cooper Jr. He's pretty solid. He could easily be the third or fourth wide receiver in the draft class. I don't think he'll overtake the top two, Carnell Tate and Jordan Tyson, but he's certainly somebody we like a lot. So we'll talk about him in a second. But let's get to this. I guess let's talk about AJB first. AJB's more likely to get traded than Achane because I believe the report that the Dolphins don't want to trade Achane. I almost feel like it's a near guarantee that A.J. Brown will be traded at some point this year. I can't promise you that he gets traded even before week 1. This could be week 4, week 6, week 5. He could certainly throw a temper tantrum on the field and start quitting on plays, or maybe, things fester right before week 1. There's a lot of talk about money and that the team, the Eagles, do not want to do a pre-June 1 trade because then they get hit with like $40 million in dead cap. But that doesn't necessarily mean they won't do the trade. People have to remember it really comes down to just the accounting. If you've got 2026 books and then the 2027 books, and then of course 2028, etc., and you're putting all this money here, if you can squeeze it in, if you can make room to put everything here, when you get to 2027, you're so happy that this is not bleeding into 2027's accounting. So everyone that says, oh, they want to push it and go, make sure that they're good in 2027 and 2026. They don't want to take on money here. It's smart for a team if they can renegotiate like they did with having Goddard sign a 1-year deal, allow themselves a trap door, so to speak, with A.J. Brown's dead money in 2026. So there people saying that this can't happen till June 1. They don't know what they're talking about. I don't care if Schefter said it. I don't care if your grandma or Aunt Edna, who has an accounting degree from MIT, tells you that they want to do this in 2020. They don't want to make this trade before June 1. Sometimes you're buying a draft pick. And Schefter also said something. He's been a little weird lately, trying to give his opinion. Stick to the phone call, Scheft. If you're getting a phone call and they say, "Hey, AJ Brown's on the move," that's when we want Shefty on the ringer and on the horn and on his tweets. Throw a tweet out there. Then don't be trying to interject your opinion mixed in with the facts, because you don't know how to tell us when you're turning that switch and when you're not. But Schefter's like, most teams want 2027 picks. And that is kind of true. But it's not necessarily the way a team like the Eagles will for sure feel. I'm not saying that they don't want a 2027 pick. I'm not saying they wouldn't trade A.J. Brown for a 27 pick, be happy, and that's one thing they'd love to have. I'm not saying that won't happen. I'm not saying it won't happen at all. It could easily happen. But is that because they wanted that over a 2026 pick, or because nobody offered anything until after the draft? And then the Patriots decide they don't like how they built their wide receiver room. And so then they offer the next available pick they have because the draft's over, 2027. It could easily unfold that way, and people start telling a narrative like, oh, I knew this was going to happen this way. It could go either way. The reason this 2026 draft is still very good. I don't want to hear people say it's bad or the 2027 draft so much better. There's good and bad with every draft. There's depth at one position, not at another. There's people calling this running back class a bunch of nothings, but there could be a hidden gem in Emmett Johnson or Mike Washington or Jonah Coleman. Price could be the number 2 running back in this class and really prove to be someone like Josh Jacobs capable in the NFL. I don't want to hear it. You know, we just talk about Cooper Jr. He could be a really good wide receiver. Why are we talking? Sadiq could be one of the best tight ends to come out of college in the next 5 years. And looking back, you know, Brock Bowers, McBride, and it could be Sadiq. That's how good this class could be. Mendoza could be one of the best quarterbacks to come out for a long time. Maybe he isn't. Maybe Jennings is amazing. There's so many hidden gems potentially in this draft class. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear that they don't want 2026 picks, because I look at it and I see tons of talent, and I could go deep. I know we throw a lot of offense around. We're not doing a ton of defensive breakdowns all the time, but this says there's talent everywhere. And if last year wasn't proof in the Cooper DeJean situation, and I always reference that because it's such an amazing end of the mother freaking first round selection. I don't know what to tell you. If you don't know how to find talent, that's one thing. If you're scared to take a gamble on a player because you're like, well, it's a late first rounder, what if it doesn't work out? I don't know what to tell you. A.J. Brown, if the Eagles want to replace him this year with a Denzel Boston, a KC Concepcion, 2 wide receivers, they'll probably go around that territory. Maybe an Omar or Cooper Jr. could go in that territory, sure. Regardless, if you want to even grab a receiver later, maybe you sign Juwan Jennings. Maybe you end up grabbing a defensive piece or whatever. You can do that. You don't have to just replace A.J. Brown with your first round pick in 2026. But also keep in mind that A.J. Brown is going to return you at least 1 first rounder. So if the Rams send the 29, and let's say, you know, I could see the Rams trying to get the 13, but let's say they send the 29. Now, all of a sudden, the Eagles have the 23 and the 29, which they could put together, move up and go get one of the top 2 wide receivers if they wanted to, or get Sadiq or go big time defensive move or whatever, or they could draft an offensive lineman or a defensive player. They can do whatever the hell they want with these 2 picks. Remember that if A.J. Brown gets traded, they now have 2 first rounders, and they can grab a receiver with one of those picks and not feel like they're taking too big of a risk and passing on another position of need. The Eagles will very, very much be fine going 2027 or going 2026, but they're probably wanting to fill the void this year. Their window is right now. Their window might be next year as well, but they know they can win a Super Bowl right now. So don't let someone fool you into thinking they won't purchase a draft pick by allowing that $40 million dead cap, which they made way and room for in the Dallas Goedert 1-year extension. And that signing with Goddard moved $20 million downstream, opened up a cavity of, if you will, of a trap door, if you will, for the money to fall into the 2026 counting, you know, situation. I think AJB probably, if I had to guess, is man, New England's tough. Because I don't know if they've got the cojones to push all their chips in and say AJ Brown's the one we need. And I know some of you are going to say, well, Smitty, what about this injury report? So let's pull that report up and just read it. This is what Michael Florio was speaking about. They were talking to the Eagles about AJ Brown, Florio said. They got scared off by some of the, as I'm told, preliminary medical research. They decided too much of an investment for a player at his age, general wear and tear. We're not going to do it, quote, end quote. This could be posturing. This is like when I'm at the car dealer and the car dealer, this is one of the best lines. By the way, I'm excellent at buying a car, so we could do a whole video on that. But one of the best things you can say when you're at a car dealership, use this and you will thank me later. It's just one of many things you could say. I'll try and give you some more nuggets on it. But you say to the dealer from the jump, I'll be honest with you, I don't need a new car. I don't even know why I'm here. And then that sets the stage that you don't need the car. You will walk away, and when he tries to put you in positions of saying, hey, I can do this, you could say, well, that costs more, I don't need it. Or it costs that much more, I don't need it. I just told you, like when I got here, I don't know why I'm even here. I just kind of stumbled upon, I want to look around, but I literally don't need a car. So you're going to have to blow my socks off for me to go in a direction that I don't actually want to go. And then they're not going to sit here and go, well, why are you here then? They're just glad you're there. And so you're using it as a negotiation ploy. I don't really need a car. I want a car. I want to upgrade is what I want, right? I want to upgrade, but I'm saying this car is already paid off, or you say I only owe $7,000 on this thing right now, and that looks nice, a couple years from now. I just don't really need it. I mean, I really don't want it. That's what the Rams are doing right now. We don't want it. We're trying to lower the price tag a little bit. Doesn't mean they will trade for him. Doesn't mean there isn't some serious, situation going on here. But sometimes Florio, some of the stuff gets lost in translation too. Like, do we think we have the exact transcript? Does Florio have the transcript where they say, they got scared off, we're not going to do it, we decided we're too worried about that knee? We don't know that he's got this exact transcript, but we know he's got a feel of maybe the way that they tried to portray they no longer were interested in AJ Brown. AJ Brown could still be traded to the Rams. The Patriots, and I don't think the injury concerns, if there is something significant to cling on to, Max Crosby, that was all trash. Shame on the Ravens for doing what they did to Max Crosby. Shame on the Ravens. Because Max even said when he talked about it on the podcast that he spilled all the beans, he said he was scared because he had no knowledge of his knee being in any sort of weird shape. He just had surgery. Everything was fine. He was ahead of schedule. And the MRI, everybody expected the MRI to be what the MRI was going to be. And then all of a sudden they come in and say, we saw some things that concern us. And he's like, what did you see? Like something new? What happened? It was all just, it was trash. He got on the phone with his surgeon. The surgeon's like, everybody knew what to expect. You're ahead of schedule. Don't listen to them. Max returned home, patched things up with the Raiders. It's good to go. He ain't going anywhere. And this is going to make the Ravens are going to live haunted by this move, by this non-move, this backing out move. There was nothing there. Nothing that they should have been aware of everything they saw. This was an appraisal. You're buying a house, you got cold feet, you tell your appraiser, come up with something. Well, there's school system's weird. There's a crack in the top attic on one of the beams on the truss. Not a big deal, but there's a crack. Okay, I'm out of here. I'm done. Boom. You can get out for anything. That's what the Ravens did. Now, with AJ Brown, I'm telling you, it's a little different. Thank you for another $20 super chat, you monster, Joseph.
I smell meatloaf.
Just hang tight. Husseini, 5 gifted memberships. Let me give us a couple of standing ovations. First of all, Joseph, thank you for the super chats. You're the man that made the Husseini, 5.
Let him cook.
Let me just check Rumble real quick, make sure there isn't something lingering there from Hammer. Hag gifted 1 membership over on the Rumble side of the fence. Hag, appreciate you. Good seeing you here. You've been kind of MIA lately. We almost put you on the bat signal. What was I saying? AJB, there's something to cling on to. I wouldn't be shocked, and I'm not saying I don't think teams should trade for AJB. I kind of think that I think New England should take the risk. I don't care if they're a little worried or whatever. I don't care if there's something actually there that the Rams saw. You know, hey, his meniscus has been clipped like 5 times. He's basically looks like it's, you know, half there. You know, like a typical meniscus in the knee. You know, will look something like this. It'll be like this C shape, and then the knee sets right on top of it. And when the padding here, when you start trimming away at it, if you can kind of like just examine, look at this. If I was to cut a whole corner off, you can imagine that where this bone hits that meniscus, if that meniscus no longer has that piece of meniscus there that it's touching, the knee's going to sink just ever so slightly a little bit more in the direction until it makes contact again, right? Or even if you're putting all your weight here and you cut out here and your meniscus is no longer touching as much in a corner somewhere, or if it's on the interior as well, which could be even worse. But if it's that kind of situation, sometimes when they cut and they're moving, and you can, when you cut on your knee, you can kind of feel yourself leaning and pushing more. That's when you could have a problem where it re-tears the part that's already been trimmed. And if you've had a repair, like there's all kinds of issues. They could have looked at this thing and it could have had like, it could look a little something like this, you know, where it's got all kinds of concerns where he's had trims. And then they're just saying, man, this is a disaster waiting to happen because the knee joint sitting on that meniscus is going to be sliding around, just potentially like a finger, skin on your fingernail that you ripped too far. Don't do it. It's disgusting. Stop it, Steven. Stop chewing your nails, bare bones. But that's one of those things where it's like it could continue to rip where it tried to heal. But my point being is I wouldn't be surprised if there's actually something tangible that the Rams are hanging on to. I still think I'd make the move if I'm the Patriots, as long as everything is copacetic right now. Like, what in the hell does it matter? He's not going to give you 4 years. He's going to give you 1 to 2, if you're lucky, 2.5 years of elite play, but you only count on 1. You trade for him, you count on 1. The New England Patriots were in the Super Bowl. I don't know if anybody remembers that. I know T.Y. Hilton is retired, and we're kind of not sure what year we're in. What year is it? T.Y. I literally woke up. I'm like, what year is it? Did I hit my head or something? Why is T.Y. Hilton retiring today? Did I just wake up from a long nap and it's 2021? Like, what are we doing? So, what was I going to say? I think the Patriots should make this move. We got a $50 hauler from Hammer. Hammer, we're going to be... I smell meatloaf. Well, we'll be throwing down the Hammer Time video in a second. There's more here to cling to that's concerning. But I think that as long as he's ready now and there isn't a setback. You know what I wonder, though, and we'll have to see if this is the case. If it's not, the Patriots should be all in. I wonder if he had one of those cleanups that we're talking about. And we never hear about A.J. Brown's cleanups until months later. I don't know how this guy keeps it under wraps. This guy's so secretive and stealth with everything he does. It's every offseason. It's like A.J. Brown had a meniscus cleanup in freaking March. And it's August. Remember when Najee Harris had the Liz Frank injury? And we heard about it after it already healed? What are you talking about? He's got a metal plate in his shoe. Najee Harris had a Liz Frank injury, and it's supposedly in the past. How the hell did they sneak that by us? A.J. Brown always had, but here's the thing. A.J. Brown's never being examined. They're never appraising A.J. Brown to sell him. A.J. Brown may have had a cleanup surgery that we don't know about, but it became evident because he's being looked at and he's taking physicals and they're, examining the medicals and the imaging. And we don't know how far this thing got. I mean, obviously, if the Rams had seen something, what were the Rams? How close was this deal happening? If the Rams had their eyes and sights on some imaging, or did they just do research and say this is amount of? And then if it's not actual eyes on imaging, then the Rams are really, in my opinion, more so playing the car dealer. And, situation where they're like, yeah, a lot of wear and tear. Our research says that this is very, very bad. They're just trying to lower the price. But if there is actual imaging or something that the Rams got their fingers on, I wonder if it's known that he had some sort of knee cleanup. We'll find out. But that's A.J. Brown in a nutshell. As far as Achane goes, and let me get through this one real quickly so that we can open the phone lines and celebrate these super chats and then kind of get to your guys' opinions on this. But DeVon Achane, according to this report, and who knows if it's true, like I said, we're in the middle of smoke season, but according to Adam Schefter, the Dolphins have told teams that Achane is not available for trade. But raise your hand in the chat if someone ever is inquired about a player. Let's say somebody wants your JJ. Do you, just because you say, yeah, I'm not selling JJ, does that mean you're not selling JJ? Raise your hand if you sometimes use that tactic. Thumb up emoji, fire emoji, eggplant emoji, whatever emoji tickles your fancy to convey that you're saying yes. Raise your hand in the chat if you've used or consistently use he's not available to make them say, damn it, I gotta up the price. That's negotiation 101. We're not idiots. So is he 100% unattainable? This is the same thing with BTJ. Don't even get me started. The GM, we're not trading BTJ. Say it louder so they really think we're serious. We're not trading BTJ. Get away. Get BTJ's name out of your mouth. Get it out of your mouth. We don't know. Look at all these. Gio says every single time. Virtue says I do it. DJ says he does it. Thumbs up emoji. Husseini 100. Every single one of you uses this tactic. So let's not act like in the middle of smoke season that there isn't something to this negotiation tactic. Now, I will tell you, A.J. Brown, far more likely to be traded because the Eagles are wanting to get rid of him. We know that for a fact. They may not get rid of him because the price tag's too high. They may not get rid of him because his knee's a concern. They may not get rid of him because the partner in trade is a cheapskate. And they don't even want to pay a first rounder, even though Waddle just set the stage. Maybe New England's like, I'm going to give you a second. And it's like, New England, what are you doing, bro? You know, I understand if you don't want to do it, but stop acting like you don't have to pay what Waddle just got. Essentially a third rounder and a first rounder. And the beautiful part about this A.J. Brown appraisal value is that the Dolphins got this 30 overall, they got this 30 overall pick in exchange for Waddle, and that's the exact place that the Rams are at 29 and the Patriots are at 31. They sandwich that 30 overall Dolphins pick. So you couldn't get a more exact blueprint for A.J. Brown trade talk than to have the picks that sandwiched the one pick that got Waddle in round one. It's beautiful. But will the Patriots try and be cheapskates with it? Because the Eagles aren't just going to take the highest offer. They want to trade them, but they're not going to sell low. Though they'd rather wait until after June 1. Maybe an injury happens. They'd rather wait until week 5. Maybe a team's like, we can push, but we need another wide receiver. They'd much prefer waiting than to get rid of them for pennies on the dollar. So we can't control. I can say A.J. Brown's going to get traded 1,000 times a day. It doesn't make it so. It's not going to happen just because I believe it should or will, because I can't control these exterior variables, team decisions, and a bunch of suits saying, oh, no, we're not going to give up that. Let's try and play hardball. Then everybody starts filling their wide receiver room with free agents. Juwan Jennings gets signed by the Patriots tomorrow. Now the Patriots are out. And then the Eagles have no trading partners. That's how it works. There could be some miscalculations and some overestimations, and that could make the trade not happen. Achane, that's A.J. Brown. We keep going back to A.J. Brown. Achane is going to cost a lot. And the Bears, the Seahawks, or staying with the Dolphins seem like the most likely scenarios, if you ask me. And when you look at the draft capital, again, where these picks are determines a lot when we start to decide who, what, where. And we look at a team like the Chicago Bears at 25 overall. Not too late of a pick, not too high of a pick. Couple a second or a third rounder, maybe a third rounder. You look back at what Christian McCaffrey went for back in the day. It was a second, a third, and I think a fourth. So this could be for Achane, healthy, young, I could easily see it being a 1, a 3, and a 5 or something like that, or a 1 and a 3. It could be the exact same Waddle. It should be more package at Waddle, but running backs, they cost a little less, even though it's Achane. But Chicago would, this is one of those moves where you insert the Jesse Pinkman meme, where how do they keep getting away with this? Like, if the Chicago Bears walk in and steal Achane away using a pick that would never garner Achane at 25 overall. You take Achane and pluck him out of the NFL player pool, throw him in this rookie draft. Similar to when a vet gets cut and he's just dangling into the rookie player pool, and then you're like, where do I take him? If Achane was dropped in this rookie draft, he might go 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. I mean, wouldn't be surprised if I would take him 1. You know, I think Love and Achane, you could argue it, but, and I'm not saying it 1 being the Raiders you would, but I'm just telling you that's how valuable Achane is. So 25 and something is what it's going to command. But this is probably the most, I think, under the radar scenario team that is shopping quietly without anybody knowing it. They could easily move on from Swift and Monangai they like, but Monangai, very much like Bijan, was drafted under the Falcons when they had Algier. Algier is so good that he just got a starting job, even being a backup this entire time that he's been in the league. He's now the starter for the Arizona Cardinals. So Algier was so good, they still walked right over him and drafted Bijan. The Chicago Bears love Monangai. Maybe he's starting for another team someday. Maybe Tootin, same thing. Tootin and Monangai, very similar. Husseini with the $20 hauler. I'll get these $20 haulers and the $50 hauler. I'm almost done. But I was just going to say this last thing is that Chicago seems very sneaky. And then you look at this pick down here, it's going to cost more in terms of other picks to be added on to the Seattle 32 overall pick. But Seattle loses Walker. We all make fun of them. They start losing other pieces. They look like they're really, really taking steps backwards. And if you're a Seattle fan, you don't like that. And you're going to come in, clapping back, and no one's going to care or listen. The truth of the matter is, Seattle's not the exact same team it was. Not to mention losing Kubiak alone makes this statement, even if they kept every player, makes the statement true by itself. And now you're like, what can you do to make ground up from all of the losses that Seattle has been struck with, because they're not repeating. They're not repeating unless they do something big to gain ground back. And if they went and got Achane with a 32 and a second, so 32 overall plus a second rounder, maybe a fifth rounder, and they get Achane, this thing looks entirely different. And then Achane becomes what? Maybe because Charbonnet ain't playing for a good month or 2 of football. I mean, he had a surgery not too long ago. There's a real chance Achane, especially if you trade for him at that cost, is the number 3 overall player in fantasy football in Seattle or in Chicago. But again, we circle back to the fact that according to the report, Dolphins aren't looking to trade him unless you offer the Dolphins a offer they can't refuse. Because as I've mapped out, this is the last thing, and then I'll go to the super chats. As I mapped out, before anybody says they just want to build around with Smitty, why don't you shut your trap? Well, at 11, friend, if they're able to draft Jeremiah Love and reset the clock and get an additional first rounder, let's just say the 25 overall and a second rounder, now the Dolphins can take Jeremiah Love if he were to slip, and it's starting to look like the possibilities there if the Giants don't ruin everyone's day. But if Miami takes Jeremiah Love here and they get the 25 overall pick and they also have this 30 overall pick, now they gain an additional second rounder in the deal. Ladies and gentlemen, this team is so well equipped to rebuild we're not saying they'll land their picks, but if they land their picks, they're in such a prime position with the reset at running back. It makes nothing but sense if, in fact, Love does fall to 11 for this team. Let's hit these supers. We got the first super chat. We're going to go with the $50 hauler from my boy Hebrew Hammer, who's bringing the thunder. Let's drop the hammer again. Anybody that ever drops a $250 super chat gets their own video drop for any time that they drop an additional $20 hauler the rest of the season. So now every time, because Hebrew Hammer broke records and he's the highest super chatter of the year with the 250, he now has this video whenever he drops a 20 plus.
It's hammer time.
Hammer, appreciate you, my boy. Hammer says the following. He says, if I'm the Eagles, I understand it's a business. I want to get this moving as quick as possible. It just has to be exhausting dealing with his nonsense. I know Howie is Howie, but you got to do something. And that's why I believe Howie's so good. This ridiculous notion that they want 27 picks only, or they prefer that when they're trying to win now. And the compensation allows them to go get players now. Howie knows ball. Howie knows how to identify talent. You think Howie's like scared of the 2026 player pool? Not you, Hebrew Hammer. I'm talking about people that say, oh, didn't you hear that? They don't want 2026 picks. Didn't you hear that? It's going to be a June 1. It's all about the money. They don't want a $40 million dead cap hit. They don't care about the $40 million dead cap hit if it fits in the budget. It's kind of like saying, let me give the hard example. Let's say you have, this is a good example. Let's say you have a $20 budget for lunch every day. I know it's a lot, but let's just say you did. Or let's just make it realistic. Let's say the wife gives you 13. Okay? Let's say you were to get, let's say that you can't carry it over. You can't carry it over. Okay? So if you spend $8 and you have extra money sitting there, and you have $5, are you just going to burn it? Or if you could, let's just say hypothetically, instead of taking a hit tomorrow, let's say it can go one way but not the other, you could throw tomorrow's expense into this year that into this day. You're not spending this $5 today anyway. And if I can use this money this way, but let's say you can't, then, or whatever, you get my point. Then all of a sudden, the next day you have $18 because you were saying, damn, I'm not using this. Let's just burn it. Like in a sense, like I'm just trying to give people a perspective of that. They don't care if they're burning $40 million. If they get a pick and a player that is going to be their future and they love the player, like you don't think they would have dropped $40 million to snag Cooper DeJean? Guy was worth so much more than $40 million. That's what you got to ask yourself. Does Howie see somebody? And especially where this pick is going to be determines that, right? If A.J. Brown can get traded to the Baltimore Ravens, who I think is also, and I should have put that on here because that is a spot that I haven't heard a lot of people talking about, but it's a spot that I have been talking about. It's a spot that I believe is in play for AJB. So I should put that on this graphic. But the Ravens, if the Ravens are giving, let's say, this 14 overall pick, which they don't have to surrender in the Max Crosby deal anymore, and this owner wants to get out of the ownership business. He wants to win a championship and leave, he said. If he can win one or two, great. If he wins one earlier than expected, then he could leave earlier. But he's giving it 10 years, and he's out. He doesn't want to hand it down to his children. He wants out. That's the man. That's the sound of a man that's going to be dealing draft picks. You know, like Cleveland wants to trade 5 years in advance now. This is a guy who wants to get the hell out of Dodge. And if you don't think he'd surrender this, if he believes AJ to be healthy enough, and that's the one caveat we're wondering about, this 14 pick is worth $40 million. The Seattle 32 overall, let's say, if Seattle's like, we'll take AJB, not saying that that's a possibility necessarily, or the Rams 29, that's a little bit different of a pick. I mean, you still might do it, but might be a little less interesting to burn $40 million. So where the pick is matters a lot. All right, let's get to these $20 haulers. Joseph dropping a wad here. Joseph dropping a wad there. Husseini dropping a $20 wad here. Let me go ahead and read Joseph's first since he dropped them first. Smitty, I'd like to get your thoughts on Omar Cooper Jr. In my opinion, he's the one in yak department out of all the rookie receivers. He also is the best hands after watching tape compared to top wide receivers. Love him. The answer is love him. Where he goes really much depends on his output and what he'll give you as a rookie. If a team sees him as a potential 1, then that's great. The only thing that's concerning a little bit is that he's not in the top 3 receivers, or, it depends on where teams view him. But the spots where someone can go to be a bona fide 1 are going to be, there not a lot of them out there. Carnell Tate, Jordan Tyson, Mekhi Lemon are a little bit more likely to find those homes. But at the same time, bro, we've got a couple teams that could threaten the values of Jordan Tyson and Carnell Tate that already have receivers. Like New York Giants have neighbors, and if they take, let's say, Jordan Tyson or Carnell Tate, and then the New Orleans Saints, who have Chris Olave, take the other one, then all of a sudden you got a lot of other opportunities, especially on the comeback around where maybe Cooper goes in the second round, or if he goes late first, there's opportunity to land on a very good offense because these teams advance far into the playoffs. So, New England getting him at 31 would be fantastic. Seattle could look at 32, but then that's not as good because there's a little bit of, capping his upside. Could I see the Rams grabbing him early? The Rams are very, very, they think ahead. Look at the Bucs with I'm not saying the Bucs would grab him, but look at the Bucs. Well, they could. Remember when they grabbed Ibuka? It didn't make sense at the time. Now he's the number 1 wide receiver. Like, you sometimes have to look ahead like that. A team like the Chargers grab him, not the best scenario because you have Ladd there, you got Gadsden, but it's not the worst either. Carolina, you got Ted McMillan there. Like, there's a lot of places he could go that don't compute, to number 1 eventual fantasy football wide receiver 1 value, but do love him. And so landing spot is volatile. Landing spot, as boring as it is to say, landing spot is king. And so do I like him as a prospect? Yes. Do I pump the brakes on just assuming he goes to a great place and we can project the world, that the world is his? That's where you got to be careful. Come to D. Patrick out of Evansville, Indiana for your next purchase, Smitty. Okay. Come to D. Patrick. Okay. I don't know. Is that a pizza place? What is that? What is that? Evansville. I've been to Evansville, Indiana, by the way. Love Indiana. It's my family's company. Oh, there we go. We have Ford, Lincoln, Nissan, BMW, Mercedes, Audi, Porsche. I should have just kept reading. It's right in front of me. What is that? What are we talking about? What is D. Patrick? It's only right in front of my face. Will do. What kind of deal can you get me on something? Appreciate you, Joseph. Be careful, because when I walk on the dealership lot, I'm going to tell you, I don't need to be here. I don't even need a car. You're going to go, Smitty, I know you, buddy boy. How you going to screw me? You can't, though. I'm good at buying a car. But I love Indiana, by the way. I've been there 10 times. Families live there. I love Indiana. Especially been right around that area. Smitty, Casey owns 29 pick now because McDuffie trade. Your board is not updated. Oh, thank you. Hold on, let me go over there. Let me see. I'll fix that. I'll get on the phone line tonight and I'll fix it when we're talking and going through some stuff. Thank you very much for letting me know. Husseini to the moon. Appreciate you, Husseini. Man, the myth, the legend. Love my boy Husseini. He's on I saw you were on a 48-hour fast or a 72-hour fast. Man, good luck. I would say let him cook, but we don't need you cooking if you're fasting. So
let him cook.
Don't do it. Don't cook. Thank you, Isaac, for the blank super chat. I don't know if you had said anything else in a different message. Isaac, do you know any Richies from Indiana? I don't know any Richies. My wife is a Richie. 7 sisters born in California right now. I don't know any Richies, but it's possible that the car dealership has your number. They might be calling for an upgrade over in Evansville. All right, I think we're caught up on all the super chats. Appreciate everybody. Appreciate Joseph, Husseini, Isaac. Appreciate Hammer dropping his. And then we had gifted memberships How many did we have? We had gifted him at 5. What was it? Oh, membership milestone. Sorry, Husseini. Did I think it said 5? Okay. Milestone says, grateful for Smitty in the chat. Smitty is king of fantasy football. Thank you. Appreciate you for the milestone message. I'm sorry if I read that wrong. Either way, you drop them all the time, so you deserve the standing ovation. All right, phone lines are open. Dial in.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
I don't know how long we'll be here tonight, so we might take rapid phone calls. Joseph, thank you for the super chat. Joseph says, my sister is Adriana O'Daniel. Okay. We don't need to reveal any addresses or, anything like that. Let's keep it tamed. We've got DJ on the line. DJ, you're live.
Best show on the planet, Smitty. What's up, squad?
What's up,
Smitty? Whenever two people are talking, someone's selling someone, right? I mean, we do it from birth. Kids can't even talk and they sell parents, right?
Uh-huh.
So this is smoke speaking, through and through. And I'm like you with Howie Roseman. You always have. You have to always give Roseman the benefit of the doubt. He's proven to win with his picks and positioning. So, AJB will probably be traded. The whole Rams thing, I don't know that would have kept him from trading for him or whatever the case may be. So, status quo. AJB, I believe, is going to be moved. Devontae Smith is going to be the number one there. To the moon. That's it, man. That's on the plan.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you. I agree. I think Devontae Smith's going to be up in value soon. AJ Brown, I believe, will be gone. We don't know when, The Patriots are responsible here for trying to help make this happen. The Rams are responsible here for helping make this happen. The Ravens, I believe, are the third team in play. It's quietly under the radar. They got they were willing to get rid of their first round picks. I don't think they're necessarily worried about losing those. I think they were worried about losing those when they could get Hendrickson, and now they're like, well, we could use this for another piece. Doesn't mean they will use it on AJ Brown, but I think that there's a thought process here that they're at least working through. Truly believe that. Doesn't mean it'll happen. But did anybody see the Denver trade coming from a mile away? Like, were there thoughts or whispers or occasional mentions of Denver might be into it? Yeah. But it wasn't highly talked about. Denver for a Waddle landing spot was mentioned, but it wasn't like something that was guaranteed. Hebrew Hammer, you're live, and then I'll go over to Bruce. Hebrew Hammer, go.
I think one thing to kind of monitor, see how it plays out. If Diggs can land on his feet, I mean, most teams, the Patriots, they kind of have that reputation where, we're just not going to put up with that. I mean, he probably would still be on most rosters, but I think he becomes available. And he's, again, I don't know when all that shit clears, but that's something that would be big for whoever team. But my question is, obviously the Eagles are complex with, when did Hurts sign his contract? Like his big contract? I ask that because I wonder if Howie's one of those that, again, I don't have a read on Jalen, but if he's talking with Jalen Hurts and money from, if Jalen would, do it like a Patrick or, Brady did before. Again, I don't know.
He's an unrestricted free agent in 2029. So, but they always rework deals whenever they need money. It's not a big deal. But he doesn't. AJ Brown, Hurts doesn't want AJ Brown there. Hurts isn't like
Right.
they don't get along at all.
Yeah. No, I mean, if I was Hurts, I'd probably pay money to get him off. But that was something that behind the scenes I'm kind of asked. I didn't pose it, but I like is Hurts involved? That whole team, that organization, I don't really understand. But you think Hurts has much say in what's going on, or you think Howie's running the whole thing?
I think Hurts has some say, but I don't know how much. I mean, sometimes players, like even Aaron Rodgers, for all Aaron Rodgers brought to the Green Bay Packers organization, all the receivers he made, like the fact that he made top 7 wide receivers every year, he was never consulted, never had any power. So it's hard to know. We don't know the inner workings, but I'm sure they have discussions with them. But no, Howie makes the calls. I think that when you have Sirianni and Hurts both wanting AJ be gone, maybe part of them thinks they can resolve it. Like you think about Diggs in Buffalo, Josh Allen wanted him gone. Josh Allen may have acted like he didn't. The Bills acted like they didn't, but when it came out later, the word was they phased Diggs out of the offense. Diggs was like the number 1 wide receiver in the league for like the first month or so of football, month and a half. That year that he got phased out, they strategically phased him out of the offense on purpose in the second half of the season. And then they acted like they may or may not trade him. They could fix it. And then they didn't want him on the roster. AJ Brown's the same exact scenario. Sirianni wants nothing to do with him. And while Howie's Howie and Howie's going to cook and do what he needs to do, Howie also knows that he's got to keep his coach happy and focused. And if Sirianni's running his mouth constantly, getting all stressed out about AJ Brown made him look bad. Sirianni had to change his drawers after AJ Brown almost headbutted him on live television and disrespected the hell out of him. Sirianni's going to say, look, I want him gone. And Howie's not going to just sit there and butt heads with them. He's going to go, look, I've got to manage people. I got to make sure everybody's at their best. And to be honest with you, AJ Brown quitting on his team essentially at times, not talking to the media, crying like a little baby when they're 4-0 and he didn't get the ball yet, instead of saying we're 4-0, it doesn't matter. Like Howie's probably not going to bat to keep AJ Brown all that, he's not all that interested in it. So it's a very easy move to make, but Howie's not stupid. And if the Patriots say, you know what, we know we're the only team looking right now because the Rams are out, we'll give you a second rounder, that's it. Howie's going to say, hell no. And that's how this thing could fall apart. But at the end of the day, it is up to Howie. Howie is great at making trades. There are still several teams, I think the Ravens, like I said, are quietly one of them, that will be willing to pay a first-round pick. And then we'll see. It's still possible that what Schefter's saying has some truth to it, that if all things are equal, and it's not about wanting 2027 picks more than 2026 picks, it's wanting 2027 picks that are probably projected to be higher than the 2026 offered pick. So if we're talking about New England at 31, or the Rams don't want to deal this 13, they want to deal. I'll change the San Francisco the KC Chief pick here. My bad. I keep referencing that. But let's just use 31. If the Patriots want to trade 31, it's like, what are the odds that the 2027 pick they get is better than that? Probably a lot. It's gonna likely be higher. So they're very interested in both drafts. It just depends on where the pick is. But I do believe AJ Brown at the end of the day, whether it's past June 1, before June 1, week 7, I think he's not on the team when the trade deadline passes. And I think there's a good chance he's traded before the draft. Could be a draft day trade too. Guys don't fall on the board where you want. Your favorite player gets snagged, and then you make the call and say, hey, especially like when you talk about Achane, if the wrong players are off the board and the Chicago Bears are sitting here and they're like, this pick at 25 is not what we were thinking. Let's offer it and something. Ben
Johnson's one of those guys. I feel like just anything would just fall into his lap. He just strikes me as that individual.
Yeah, he's really good. He's definitely like Shanahan in that they make moves that you scratch your head and you say, how did the whole rest of the league let this happen? When the Niners got Christian McCaffrey for a second, third, and a fourth round pick, no first rounders were given. And look what he's done for the Niners since he was acquired. It's just it makes you say, why were you all sleeping at the wheel? Why does nobody else have the balls to pull off a trade like this? Ben Johnson's got the balls to pull a trade off like this. So I think 25 overall for Achane and additional picks would be worth it. All right. Anything else, Heber Hammer? I'll probably come back on a Dynasty show, I think. Not positive, but let me just see how I feel at the end of the show here. I'll tell you before I end the stream, guys.
Yeah, just make it through this show. All right.
What else you got?
I know we're good. We're good.
You got Achane. Final question before you leave. Achane, where's he playing ball next year? Dolphins. And where's AJ Brown playing ball next year? Final answer.
I'm gonna say Achane. I'm actually not. I believe what he said again. Anyone is for sale, but I truly think that if you're Miami, yes, you want to reset, you want to have your players. I think Achane, you don't have his side bullshit, and they need
monetization, Hammer, monetization.
Sorry, I mean Willis needs at least something or someone. I mean, they have to put some sort of.
Let me merge this call real quick.
And stays. And I think you can build from that.
Yeah. Okay. So Miami, who or AJB? Quick answer. AJB's where?
For somewhere else, but not New England. For some reason, I think it's going to be some dark horse team.
Not New England. Okay. All right. Appreciate you, Hammer. Call back in on the Dynasty channel. Appreciate you.
All right. Bye.
All right. What do we got here? Bruce, I think, is left on the phone line, and then we got 850. 850 remain muted real quickly. Let me just go over to the super chats. I got two of them real quickly. Bella, check yourself. Where have you been, bro? Traded the 1.1 for London and Loveland. Have Bijan Robinson. Traded the 1.1 for London and Loveland. Yeah, bro, that's a lot of talent. I don't mind that at all. Could I argue the other side a little bit, but that's such a lot. That's such a great amount of talent, bro. Fantastic. If it was tight end premium, even more. But have you studied organizational theory, Smitty? I know you study psychology. I've studied pretty much everything under the sun relating to psychology and all that stuff. But how much do I remember about everything? It's been a little while since I went for that was my 4-year was psychology. So that one was like what I basically back when I was right before I got into the business, so we're talking about over 2 decades since I got that. But I've always stuck with the conformity stuff and the foot in the door phenomenons and the different ways to the manipulation factors that people use in their day-to-days and bring that to the fantasy football space. But yeah, love all of that. Cognitive psychology was one of my favorite. Evolutionary psychology was one of my favorite subjects. And there's so much tied to like the caveman days, taking care of the home, the fire. Person has the biggest fire is the most attractive. Like all that evolutionary psychology stuff is real, man. The mate selection, all that stuff, it's really, really amazing and entertaining. Like basically, someone driving a fast, car is looked at, accepted different, looked at different, like just all that evolutionary psychology. Man that has the biggest fire, the most weapons to hunt, and how that translates across, just different, evolution of what fire really is today. Is it money? Is it cars? Is it whatever? It's crazy. Evolutionary psychology is really interesting. Not just from an understanding and perspective. Not that I even necessarily think people should think like that, but they're wired to. And knowing that allows you to, I don't want to say change the game, but allows you to understand the game, Dynasty trade away Rico and a 2027 second rounder or 2027 third rounder for Javonte. Yeah. Rico in a second or a third. I'd give up either one. But I try to give the third, obviously, but take Javonte and run, Jonathan. That's a fantastic trade. And then this one here, organizational theory is extremely interesting. Yeah, I'm definitely I just forget. Like, cognitive was really interesting too. Like, there's a lot of stuff too with cognitive was one of my favorite. But one thing in cognitive psychology you learn, and it's really interesting. They do a lot of sports stuff too. But when you blink, you're blind, essentially. When you, because you can't see, but you're also blind when you move your eyes. So if you move your eyes from left to right, you're blind in between the point your eyes started to move to when it stops and stationary again. So like you're literally from here, I'm looking, I'm blind until I stop my eyes again from moving. And so they talk about like a lot of sports, like boxing, when a person starts to move your eyes, you start to throw your punch because they won't see the initial part. You're filling in the gaps between the eye moving from here to here, and you're actually not seeing it. There's so much cool stuff related to cognitive psychology. What are we doing here? Bruce, you're live.
All right. Hey, Dr. Smitty, I got a question.
Hello.
Hello, Dr. Smitty.
Not a doctor, but that's all right. You can call me doctor if you want. It's Master Smitty. Masters. I got
like to call you doctor.
Yeah, I didn't.
Injury.
Fake doctor. You can call me fake doctor. I've never claimed to have my doctorate. But just to say, some people joke around about that with all the models and stuff. So we're the best deep fake doctor in the business, but fell short of a doctorate. But we got the masters, but that's it. All right, go ahead. What do you got?
Can players, because like you were saying how AJB does it almost every year, and Najee Harris did it. Can they get surgeries without telling their teams?
Yeah, there's players all the time. Like, hey, did you get the surgery? And then they're like, not yet. Like, what? Like, remember the Niners had this, situation all the time. Who was the player that didn't? I think Ayuk, there was something with that too, some ambiguity around it. But there was another player, I forget. Was it Jimmy Garoppolo? Jimmy Garoppolo. They had no idea if he had surgery. Then Jimmy Garoppolo delayed his surgery, and they were trying to move on potentially or think about it. And Jimmy Garoppolo shows up and hadn't had his surgery yet. They were so pissed, bro. And then they couldn't cut him. They couldn't do anything because he was injured. So that's what happened with the Jimmy Garoppolo situation. The Niners were so pissed at him. John and Kyle called him. He wouldn't pick up his phone. He was supposed to have surgery. He didn't. So, yeah, in the offseason, a lot of that stuff happens outside of the club's, purview. 100%.
Okay, yeah, because I wasn't sure if, like A.J. Brown, like, he had to tell the Eagles, hey, I'm getting surgery. I'm getting my knee cleaned up. I didn't know if he physically, unless they put it in a contract, that he had to tell them.
I honestly don't think a lot of teams think that deeply into a contract, construction and be like, oh, let's make sure. Like the Cardinals tried to do that with Kyler and say you had to study film so many hours and then it got out and then they took it out because they were embarrassed, whatever. But I don't know. I don't. When they signed AJ Brown to his last contract, they probably weren't worried about this. I don't know. But it's interesting theory, but. Who knows? You can put pretty much anything in a contract, but I'm not sure if the NFLPA allows for control of the player's body when they're outside of the season. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really know on that. I'd be lying to you if I said I knew how that worked. There's so many things like that we have no clue. You're just not going to hear it. It's not something that we're going to be educated on until we hear it. Similar to, as much as I know about contracts and ball and covering things for 25 years practically, I had never even really thought about what Diggs did when he was traded to the Houston Texans. And he had, 3 years? And he just wanted to knock it down to a 1-year deal. It had been years since something like that had happened. If I even remember when the last time it was that happened. So it was never in like our conversation points, talking points and arguments of like, oh, you trade for Diggs, you're taking on his 3. Like you're not even thinking about, well, what if he just knocked his deal down to a 1-year deal himself? And he did that. He instead of taking 3 years and all the guaranteed money, he said, I want to be on a 1-year deal. And so they voided the rest of his contract. That's why Joe Burrow, when people say Joe Burrow can't be traded because of his contract, technically he can. He can change it so that there's the guaranteed money's no longer impeding him from being traded. And then he just says to himself, I'll sign the new deal with the new team, and that'll be that. So there are ways that these things, like a lot of stuff we don't hear about, that we just, we got to be careful when we act like we know everything, because something comes up and we're like, shh, didn't even know that existed. Or I forgot about that. All right, got to go, Bruce. Appreciate calling the Dynasty Show, bro. We'll be live in a minute. All right, later. Oh, damn, I just hung up on the other caller. Other caller, call in back real quick, please. I'm sorry. I totally didn't. Who was that? Let me see who that was. Poor sap. 850, I believe it was. Could you call back again? Here you go. Thank you. I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean to hang up on you, too. Who's this? Where are you calling from? You're live.
It's William from Pensacola.
Oh, what's up, William? What can I do for you?
Yeah, I just thinking about the Achane situation with. I think he'd already be traded if he wasn't due a contract right now, and he's going into his fourth year, so he's probably not going to play on the fourth year. And I'm thinking, I know it's not the NBA, but what's the chances the Dolphins sign him, give him the guaranteed money or the signing bonus, and then trade him to a team, and basically they can deal with just like the base salary? Is that
why would
doable?
Why would a team ever sign a player fresh, give him a bunch of signing bonus money, and then trade him with dead cap? Bro, when you do a contract, there's so much like dead cap money that's up front. So the dead cap, as soon as it's kind of like buying a vehicle, bro. You can't buy a vehicle and sell it the next day. You'll lose $2-3 grand right away from driving it off the lot. So there's I don't even know why that would even enter your brain, that you would give him a bunch of money then trade him. Well, I don't understand what you mean. Why would you do that? What's even the rationale?
Because the new team's going to have to give him a new deal. So
let him do that. Why would
Jalen?
What? So why?
My thing was why Jalen Waddle was so easily to trade, because he was just dealing with the base salary, like he didn't have to sign a new deal. Achane has to sign a new deal, like this coming year, or he's not participating in training.
But that doesn't make him less attractive for a team. You got to understand the way the contracts work too. Is if you end up signing a deal, Mahomes signed a 10-year, $500 million deal, or it's 450, I think. And in year one, bro, they paid him less than $1 million. In year two, I believe he got either $1 million or less than $1 million. In year three, it was like $1 or $2 million. Mahomes made, sure, a lot of upfront money that doesn't count against the books, bro. The bonuses, the upfront money don't count. He certainly got an extra, I forget what it was, to sign a signing bonus. But Mahomes didn't make but $3 or $4 million his first 3 years in base salary. So you want to construct a trade or a contract yourself because of all the advantages, but you have zero. I've never even heard of that in my life, that someone would want, let's give them all the bonus money, sign them, and then just trade them. Like, this is not going to happen, William. No.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, even with DK last year, like, he wanted a new deal. He got a second-round pick, but he, I mean, what? So you don't think a new contract affects the trade, like getting assets for like a trade at all, or what?
I don't know what you're asking. What are you asking? Are you still going down this road? Are you sticking to it? What do you mean?
Well, I'm still wondering, because like if you're trading for Achane, what does
I just
giving
said no.
him a new contract, is that going to affect, like, whether if it's a first round pick or a second round pick, like, because they got to give him a new deal. Like, that does affect the situation.
Again, though, William, that sometimes that's advantageous. Like, me handing you a player, the contract I did, and then I hand it to you, like you could trade for Achane. The team that's trading him away has some dead cap, whatever the case may be with the contract. And you could literally do what the Chiefs did with Mahomes. You're paying them very little up front. You're backloading the contract, and it helps you kick, the problem down the road. This is not, I don't know why we're even having this conversation. What else you got? It's like saying,
no,
Smitty, is it true the sun might not rise tomorrow? I mean, we could talk about it, but it doesn't, there's not a feasible conversation. I don't know where you got this idea. Like, no one's signing a player to a new deal.
That does happen.
No, it doesn't. No one signs a player to a fresh deal to trade them. Never. Name one time.
That was just an idea. That was just what I was asking. Like, I know that doesn't happen because it's not the NBA, but like the other team, like say the Bears, they're going to have to sign Achane to a new contract. I always thought that just because somebody's due a new contract, like that may affect the trade package a little bit. That's all I'm saying.
No. You know why it doesn't? Because like I said, you can construct it the way it fits into your accounting. And not to mention the commitment of that. You're going after this player for a reason. You want them a part of your organization, so you're excited to give them an extension. But you can't do no team's gonna take it. Like the Dolphins, you know how much dead cap money they'd have if they tried to trade Achane on a fresh deal. Let me give you an example. What player just signed a new Kenneth Walker contract? Let me see if I can find his contract here. His dead cap, like just pulling up the numbers, everything's slightly different. The contract terms and everything. You can't just like take a contract that's, you got just the surface level details and have everything. The dead cap changes based on different things. But you sign Walker 2026, right? Base salary $1.2 million. Signing bonus $4.3 million, workout bonus $135,000, cap hit $5.6 million. His dead cap, if they were to trade, if Casey trades Walker today, is $28.7 million dead cap. Like
I don't know anything about like dead cap money. I don't know anything.
Well, I'm telling you. That's why I'm telling you that's why this is this is kind of a nonsensical conversation. Is it like the contracts are made to make sure that the future is, you kick things down as much as you can and you're fitting the accounting in appropriately. This is not even talking about. What else you got? Give me something else. Give me a prediction where Achane's playing. Give me a prediction where AJ Brown's playing. And then I got to go to
Brown. AJ Brown, he is with the Patriots for a second round pick. Achane, I'm going to go Seattle. They probably give him the 32 and like 64 and maybe a pick swap, something like that.
Okay.
Like Seattle.
Your Achane projection is not crazy, and I do think Seattle's in play. AJ Brown ain't getting traded for a second rounder. I promise you that. I near promise you that. The reason I can't guarantee is because Godwin should have got $29 million per year. He took 23 to stay in Tampa Bay, and it made no sense. So there's always a world where something doesn't. But AJ Brown, I don't think Howie would even. I think he would laugh in your face if you said second rounder. Waddle just set the stage with a 1 and a 3, bro. AJ Brown's going for a 1 no matter what, or he's not going anywhere. All right.
If he stays there, that'll be funny. But okay.
All right, later, William. I've never been asked that in my life. William, I appreciate you. I hope you're not taking this hard. But it's like, I've never been asked that before. Like, do you think it's a good idea to sign him to a new deal, give him all his bonuses and upfront money, and then trade him? I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Would that be attractive to the incoming team? Probably. What do you think about buying a new car and lifting it and putting on new tires and rims? Maybe getting some mud guards protection. Maybe getting a turbo boost situation going on. New hood, It's not, it doesn't have a moonroof, so let's just cut it open and put one on there. It costs a lot of money to do it after the market. Then we sell it. Then we sell it for the regular price. I just don't know, William, where we were going with that. I was entertained, though. Like, I kept going down the rabbit hole for some reason because I just want to know where it was going to go. Did we do a Dynasty show or not? Let's... Okay, we'll do one real quickly. Any topics that you guys want to talk about on the Dynasty channel real quickly? Throw it out. Throw it out there. William, I appreciate you. I yelled at William the last time he called, too. Didn't he interrupt me? I think I was just talking. He's like, hey, what time is it? I don't know. And I was like, William. Sadiq. Okay, we can do a Sadiq. We'll do a Sadiq. Sadiq's a top 3 tight end potentially in the future. We'll do a Sadiq. I like that, Husseini. I like the way you think. All right, Sadiq convo in 5. See you all on the Dynasty channel. Do we have a super chat that I need to get to? Bella, check yourself. What's up, Smitty? 0.7 tight end premium. What up, Smitty? 0.75 tight end premium. Did this go with your other question? Bella, check yourself. London. Oh, yeah, London and Loveland. So if you, bro, thanks for the super chat, by the way. Standing ovation.
I smell meatloaf.
Bro, Loveland and a tight end premium with London for the 1.1. Fantastic job, my boy. You crushed that trade. You got him.
Got him.
All right, see you guys all on the Dynasty channel in T-minus 4 or 5 minutes. Thank you. Appreciate you, Belichick, yourself. Glad to see you back, bro. It's been too long. Let me see if there's anybody on Rumble that dropped anything before I left. Hag, appreciate you with the gifted membership. Thank you. Thanks again, Hammer Time. And I'll see Aldi in the building. Appreciate you. Dynasty top 10 Dynasty tight ends. Well, Aldi, the topic is Sadiq, so it kind of falls in line. We'll kind of, I think, flirt with some of that conversation. See you all in the Dynasty channel. The link for all of you on Rumble, it's in the description of the Rumble live stream. It's in the description of the YouTube live stream, but let me drop it so it's easier for you guys. Let me drop it there. Rumble, you got the link right there. YouTube, here's the link to the Dynasty live stream or the Dynasty channel, and we'll be live in T-minus 4 or 5 minutes. We got one more super chat from Joseph real quickly. Joseph says Hampton versus Love versus Harvey. Well, Harvey's like a really, really good Philly cheesesteak, and Love and Hampton are steak dinners, bro. So it's not even a conversation, really, to be honest, about Harvey. But I like Harvey. Cost of entry is nice. They draft somebody, you could screw them. They draft somebody, we got a new cost of entry that we still might like as one of the better, kind of side piece handcuffs in the league. But Hampton and Love, I mean, honestly, redraft, we talked about this. I'd rather have Hampton by a hair. And in Dynasty, I'd rather have Love. By not a ton, but by a decent amount. But if he lands in New York, that could make it even in Dynasty. We'll have to see. But it's a great question. See you guys all on the Dynasty channel. T-minus 5 minutes. Appreciate every single one of you. Live whenever big news breaks. Live at midnight Eastern, which is this show right here. And live Monday through Friday for the flagship show. Every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Don't forget to get on over to Underdog. We didn't do a draft tonight. We'll start doing 1 or 2 nights a week where we do it. But until the NFL draft is complete, we usually don't hammer down and do every single graveyard shift draft. But keep in mind, even if we do, what I always do is do some sort of topic and content, and then we draft and try and implement said strategies. We don't just do drafts. I'm not this boring show that you just pull up my channel and just draft after draft after draft. We don't do that here. See you all on the Dynasty channel in 5 minutes. Deuce.